Everyone has something to say about cruiser riders. Sport bike guys call them slow, younger riders call them posers, people who don't ride at all see the leather, the chrome, the low rumble rolling through traffic, and they assume they already know everything there is to know about the person sitting on that machine. And you ride anyway, not because you haven't heard them, not because the opinions don't land. You ride because something about that bike, that posture, that pace feels true to who you actually are. And most people, including you, have never really sat down and figured out exactly what that thing is. This isn't about being too old for a sport bike. This isn't about playing dress up, and it's definitely not about trying to look cool at a gas station. This is about something much more specific, much more real, and far more interesting than any of those takes give you credit for. People who choose cruisers aren't settling, they're selecting. And the psychology behind that choice is worth understanding completely. Here's what the world keeps telling you. Fast is better. Performance wins. More horsepower, more lean angle, more everything. Hustle culture turns speed into a virtue. If you're not optimizing, you're falling behind. If you're not pushing limits, you're wasting time. Comfort got rebranded as weakness somewhere along the way. And then there's a cruiser, sitting low, built wide, going exactly as fast as it needs to go. It doesn't apologize for that, and neither do the people who ride them. Psychologists who study how people relate to pace, to speed and stillness, have found something interesting. People don't actually want to go faster. What they want is to feel in control of their own pace. To be the one deciding how fast life moves around them, not the algorithm, not the deadline, them. Cruiser riders understand this at a level most people never put into words. They're not slow, they're deliberate, and that distinction matters more than it might seem. There's a concept researchers call autonomy, the basic human need to feel like you are steering your own life, not just reacting to it. Most people don't have much of it. They wake up to notifications. They move at whatever speed the day demands. Every commute, every meeting, every inbox is somebody else's schedule imposed on theirs. A cruiser gives that back, not as a metaphor, as a physical, mechanical, real experience. You set the pace. You choose the road. You decide when to stop. The machine itself was built for exactly this: long miles, easy torque, feet stretched forward, back upright. It's not asking you to crouch over the tank and chase something. It's asking you to sit back and own where you're going. That's not passivity, that's power. And people who have felt it, even once, describe it the same way, like remembering something they forgot they needed. There's a man named James, 44 years old, from Nashville, Tennessee. He spent 15 years managing construction projects, big timelines, bigger problems, constant fires to put out. Every day was someone else's emergency landing in his phone before 7 a.m. He bought his first cruiser at 41, a used Harley Softail he found on Craigslist with 12,000 miles on it. He didn't buy it because it was the best deal. He bought it because when he sat on it in a stranger's driveway and put both hands on the bars, something in his chest loosened for the first time in years. His first solo ride was a Sunday morning. 2 hours, no destination. He said he didn't think about a single project the whole time. Not because he was distracted, because the ride required just enough of him, hands, eyes, road, wind, that the noise in his head finally had nowhere to go. James still rides every weekend. He says it's the only 2 hours of the week that feel entirely his. What James experienced connects to something researchers call identity expression, the human need to have at least one thing in your life that actually reflects who you are, rather than who your job or your schedule needs you to be. And there's something specific about cruiser culture that other riding cultures don't have in the same way: customization. Cruiser riders don't just ride their bikes, they build them, paint them, swap handlebars, change exhausts, add leather, strip chrome. Research suggests cruiser riders modify their machines more than any other type of rider on the road. And that's not about vanity, that's about authorship. Psychologists have found that people who have creative control over their personal spaces, their homes, their tools, their environments, report stronger feelings of self-worth and a clearer sense of who they are. Customizing a cruiser works exactly the same way. The bike becomes something you made, a version of yourself you can actually point to and say, "That's mine. I built that." But here's where honesty matters. Not every cruiser rider is coming from a healthy place. Some people are chasing the look without doing the actual riding, the leather without the miles, the chrome without the calluses, the community without the commitment. Psychologists call this performance of identity, when the image of something becomes more important than the actual experience of it, when how you appear on the bike starts mattering more than where the bike takes you. You can usually tell the difference. The rider who's only performing goes quiet when the conversation turns to real maintenance, gets defensive when someone asks about their mileage, cares more about what's in the parking lot than what's on the other side of the state line. Riding for the ride builds something in you over time. Riding for the look eventually hollows you out. It's worth being honest with yourself about which one you're doing. Most riders start somewhere in the middle. The image draws them in, the road keeps them. Noticing when that shift happens is how you know the riding is actually working. There's a woman named Renee, 51 years old, from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She didn't start riding until she was 46. Her 3 kids were grown. 22 years of building her life around other people's needs were mostly behind her. She said she woke up one morning and realized she couldn't tell anyone what she actually liked, not if it didn't involve somebody else's schedule. A friend took her on the back of his cruiser for 40 minutes through the high desert outside the city. She didn't say a word the whole time. When they pulled over, she started crying. She couldn't explain it then. She can now. She said it was the first time in over 2 decades that she was fully present in her own life for a stretch of time without a role to play. No one to take care of, just her and the road and the wide sky sitting low over the mesa. She got her license 4 months later, bought a Honda Shadow. She rides alone most Saturday mornings and says she's never late getting back. Renee says cruisers fit her because they're honest. They don't pretend to be something they're not, and neither does she anymore. Now, about the people who have opinions about cruiser riders, they're not entirely wrong. Cruisers won't win a drag race. They won't carve a canyon the way a sport bike will. The performance numbers are real. Nobody's hiding them. But what those opinions miss is what performance actually means to the person sitting on the bike. For James, performance means 2 hours on a Sunday where his life belongs to him and nobody else. For Renee, it means finally living in her own skin without apology. Neither of those things shows up on a spec sheet. Neither of them cares about lean angle. The people throwing shade at cruiser riders are measuring the wrong thing. They're counting speed when the actual currency being traded is time, peace, and the right to decide what the ride is actually for. Every time you swing a leg over that seat, every time the engine turns over and settles into that long, low pulse, you're making a statement about what kind of life you intend to live. Not the fastest one, not the loudest one, the most deliberate one. And drop a comment below. When did you know that a cruiser was your bike? What was the moment? Tell us the real story. We actually want to know. If this video made something click for you, subscribe. New videos like this go up every week.